What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. A little bit of a different look this week, Bruce. Kind of studio's a little bit in flux. We'll probably have a more permanent setup next week, which is exciting. It's going to look a little bit different for you guys, but we'll be able to do some cooler stuff. But
wood paneled everything.
Wood panel everything, yep. But even though we're in flux, we don't miss a week. We're here every week. And dude, last week on the podcast, I know you know this already, Tim Elliott was given out by you, Andre Muniz as a dog, and then the Broncos +3, the Lakers -4. So congrats on the double sweep last week on the pod. 2-0 each. Yeah, hit the horns. 2-0 each on the podcast. So that was fun because you don't get that.
Soundboard is up, baby.
Soundboard is up.
No, you should get it every week.
You
should get it every week.
Sometimes crazy stuff happens. So
we're gonna do a run back.
Yeah, we're for today. We're running back. I feel great about today, but I was gonna say sometimes weird stuff happens, like the Jets game going over after it was 0-0 at the half. So we had the under. Sometimes stuff like that happens. You can't control it. So that was a crazy game.
I'm torn on that one because Zach Wilson got to look like a real boy.
Yeah,
for a day.
Oh,
which is always nice to see. Too little, too late on that one. He just did enough to ruin our day.
Yeah,
and doesn't improve
exactly
my Jets' chances of making the playoffs.
And it feels like this always happens. He comes back, has a little spurt, and then it just regresses back to what it was before. So
it's the Mike White serum. Whenever Mike White used to come in, he used to have that one hot game where you're like, whoa, Mike White, somebody get this guy a contract. And then the next day, his ribs explode. He throws 3 picks, and it's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So I don't believe it. I think don't fade that.
Yeah.
Fade that trend going into this week.
It was a bad spot for the Texans a little bit, and then they end up losing Stroud. So, it was kind of a bad spot, but still didn't expect a 30-point half, a win maybe, but not a 30-point half. But anyway, we're on to this week. Overall in week 14, we had a winning week, so that's good. Mostly thanks to the Thursday night play where we hit the Patriots. So, but overall a good weekend. And there's some really good games this weekend. We have some bowl games, but they're more low key in college football. The big ones don't get going till kind of after Christmas. And then obviously in January, we have the huge games. So, after the new year, we'll dive deeper into college football. But I wanted to start off talking about probably the game of the week on the slate in the NFL, and that's the Cowboys versus the Bills. So, I think it's an interesting spot because we're always looking for teams that we can buy low on. And I think in some ways you had that a little bit on Buffalo last week, even though I personally didn't like them. We had the Chiefs. But I could see the angle of buying low on them last week. But on the opposite side of that, you also want to look for teams that maybe hit their market high. And I think that's more what you have in this game with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are now 10-3, first place in the NFC East, and just come off of a blowout of the Eagles, divisional rival, where they got revenge for the loss that they had in Philly, just ran them off the field last week. And then they come into this game as a small dog, +2.5. against a Buffalo team that comes off of beating the Chiefs, is totally in this playoff race, is absolutely desperate to keep winning games. And I think this is a smash spot for them at home. The Bills in net luck rating are bottom 5 in the NFL, and that's starting to turn a little bit. You saw it turn a little bit last week.
And what do you mean, Kadarius Toney helped them out?
Yeah, he kind of did help them out, or the Zebras helped them out a little bit. But either way, that's really a part of it. When we talk about luck, it's turnovers. It's really two main things. It's turnovers and penalties. And people say, oh, but the refs. But that's a part of, sometimes you don't get calls, sometimes you do. And when your luck starts to swing, you'll notice that teams get more calls than they don't. So little things like that help you out. And, I think this is a great spot for them at home to get a huge win on their resume. I think people forget the fact that they were 6-6. They had a ton of bad luck. They are one of the only, I think they're one of two teams, actually 3. It's Buffalo, Dallas, and San Francisco that are top 5 in offense and defense. And you wouldn't expect that from a 7-6 team. So
Yeah.
per the metrics, they're very good. They hit a slump where they had a lot of defensive injuries. They're getting healthy there now. And I think this is a really good spot to back them against the Cowboys, who obviously are elite at home inside of a dome. Now outside in the elements at Buffalo against a team that they're going to be fired up for this game. I like the spot for the Bills this Sunday. What do you think?
Well, let me ask you this: do you think the Cowboys are legit now? And the narrative going about halfway through the season was, they haven't won a game against a winning team. Dak Prescott is getting away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now they just have, 2 back-to-back big wins. Are you calling these guys legit, or are you saying that it's still BS?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta see them do it in someone's building. That's the one thing. What's their big road win this year when they blew out the Panthers? Like I gotta see them go into somewhere hostile territory and win a game. Now I'll give them credit. They did play well in Philly, but they threw away all their red zone opportunities in that game. I know that because we had them in that game, and they got into the red zone. I think they got 4 red zone drives with only 3 points total. So they kept throwing them away, and that was against an Eagles team, which I'll admit, from last season, I thought the Eagles were a little bit flaky. So their luck's starting to turn. Yeah, I think the Cowboys are legit contenders, but I got to see them do it in someone else's building. And I think this is a really good test for them. The line is close, which is going to be a close game. I think this is a 3-point game, but I think getting it under that field goal with the home team is going to be huge here in a spot where I feel like this is just such a great spot for them, for the Bills. And this is not like a thing where you have a ton of data on it, but a team that has gone through the amount of like bad fortune that the Bills have had this year, and to still be 7-6 in the playoff hunt, like with the way the Chiefs are struggling on offense, right? The Chargers are now essentially out of it. They lose Herbert. The Bengals don't have Burrow, even though they're still in the race, but they don't have Burrow. Like if you're the Bills and you get in, you got a real shot. You have a real shot to wreak some havoc in the AFC. You're really just looking at and by the way, I think if the Bills were to get in and meet the Dolphins, game over. They're knocking out the Dolphins in the playoffs. The Dolphins are way too weak defensively. I don't care how good their offense is. So I look at Buffalo as a buy-on team. Early in the season, people remember when I did my divisional futures video in the summer. Remember I said I think Buffalo will take a step back in the first half of the season. Maybe I got lucky, but that's what's happened. But now I want to go back because remember we just always want to find some contrarian angle to take, right? Mm-hmm. So now I want to go back and say, all right, now everyone's given up on them. I think they're a bet on team for like these last few weeks. So I think it's a great spot for them. I think if they get in, they're very, very dangerous in the AFC. Really, the only team is Baltimore. If the Chiefs keep going the way they're going, they don't look good. So unless the Broncos get in, then watch out for them too. But
Broncos divisional.
Broncos divisional ticket is live. Oh my God, it's crazy. But yeah, Bills -2.5. That would be my play. And to answer your question, which you said earlier, yeah, I mean Dallas, I got to see them do it. This is one of those weeks. Like if Dallas goes in and gets a big win, maybe I change my tune a little bit about them. But I kind of feel like I feel like that's not going to happen. I really don't feel like you
have to though. If they get the win this week, kind of. Oh yeah, that's going to be 6. It's going to be 6 in a row. That's going to be knocking off some big hitters,
big teams. Yeah,
you got to start thinking about whether they're legit or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got to see them do it because what was the last big road game they had? I think it was the one where they went to San Francisco and we know what happened. They lost by 30 plus. So I got to see them go in. I have a feeling Buffalo has a big game. So Bills -2.5 will be my play for that. I really like that spot. That's probably my spot of the week, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying?
All right. What do we do there?
Yeah. So also,
the
crickets. Nobody likes it.
That's my spot of the week.
That's my spot.
No, I hit the wrong button.
Crickets, Bruce. There we go. There we go. I was like, cash it. Yeah, cash it. Oh man, that's great. And next. All right. So let's dive into this. Let me ask you this. Did you notice how low, we talked about this, but how the low totals did last week? We talked about how
did they do, Jeff?
Dude, we talked about how the books were adjusting.
Yeah.
Totals that were set less than 43, which the reason why sometimes we get these comments like, what did you just pick a random number because you want the stat to look? 43 is a key number in totals, guys. So that's why we go 43 or less, because 23-20 finals. So 43 is a key number. It's 43 in the hook. So 43 or less, those totals went 6-2 to the over. So, we always talk about how we try to find systems, right? We're a systems heavy handicapping page, right? Or whatever you want to call us. But like trends and systems, they don't last forever. So that's why when you have like one or two that are so durable, they have like a decade plus worth of data to back them up. You hang on to those, right? Mm-hmm. And the other ones are like every 2-3 years, they're gonna shift. Like this run of unders over the last 4-ish years, if you do 4 years, they're just right around 60-61%, right? For the last 4 years. That's not going to stay that way. So if as sports betting gets more and more popular, the books have to adjust, right? They have to adjust. They need overs to start hitting. So unders used to be contrarian, and they're slowly not becoming contrarian anymore. So there's 10 more games this week with totals that are set less than 43. So I advise anybody who's watching, look at the slate, and even if it's a divisional game, even if it's a game with backup quarterbacks, which we saw last week, a bunch of those games still went over. Mm-hmm. Take a look at these overs, because you're getting wild lines out here, 36s, 34s, 37s. At the end of the day, the offense is going to start scoring. And remember that towards the end of the season is when you're going to start to see teams fall out of playoff races, take halves off, take quarters off, start taking more chances because of what do you have to lose, like especially the weaker teams. Start airing the ball out. Maybe give a guy a shot who doesn't usually play. And that leads to higher variance, and that leads to more scoring. So you see an uptick in overs towards the end of the year naturally, even without what I'm telling you. But combine that with the lines being set much lower than they usually are, and you got to really be careful if you're still riding the unders trend. And even the primetime games too. Primetime unders were killing it. And I think they've gone over in 4 straight, I believe now. The 2 games on Monday night, there was 2 games, and they both went over. So just watch out for those unders as the books keep adjusting.
Do you have any spots that you're looking at this week for the overs, or do you need more time for that?
No, I can give you a couple. Let me take a look. We're recording this after, we're recording this before, but it'll be up after Thursday Night Football, so I won't look at that. But a good example of this would be Steelers Colts, right? Totals at 42. I'm looking at it right now. You got sharp
2 powerhouse offenses.
Yeah. But that's a game that's a game that you would think goes under, but it's set 42. Yeah. I'm looking right at it with Steam tracked on the over. And it's indoors, the Colts, right? And maybe another week. The Steelers' offense is really bad, but the Colts do one thing really well in defense. They give up a lot of points. So, and they score a lot at home. And the defense, this Pittsburgh defense has been overrated for a while. I told you guys that when we liked the Pats against them. So that's one that right away, as soon as I open the page, Steelers Colts might be one to look at for an overplay for sure. Cool. But think about this, Falcons Panthers is set at 34. I mean, that is just, I know the Panthers stink, but that's crazy low. And that's a home game.
So do the Falcons.
That's a home game for Carolina. Maybe they put up some points. You don't need much. What I'm trying to say is when you bet unders, when these numbers are really low and the books have adjusted them down, you now have a much smaller margin for error, right? 1 pick six and you're dead. Before you could withstand that. Like one of the things that I wrote up to our subs when we took the under in that Pacers Bucks game that was like 257.5 the total.
Yeah.
I was like, for this game to go over, they basically need to play perfect, both of them, offense. Like you can't even have like a 2-minute drought. Otherwise the game's going on. So think about it that way too. When you have when the books adjust, you just got to be careful. Basically everything has to go to script for you to cash the bet. So that's something that I would watch out for this weekend too with the totals. Yeah.
I dig it. So watch out for those low totals.
Low totals for sure.
The over seems to be trending towards the plays now.
Yeah, it's becoming less. It's becoming more contrarian. And unders are becoming more public as we go along with this. So imagine what it's going to look like next year. I mean, who knows? But and the backup quarterbacks are kind of attributing to that too. They're making the book set them lower. And yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, listen, we've talked about this before where you have a lot of rookie quarterbacks. You have a lot of backup quarterbacks playing this year. You're coming out of, the last few seasons either had off seasons impacted by COVID or, before then we had lockouts. So there was a lot of reasons for points to be going, points to be flying over. So the under was definitely a contrarian play, but
yeah. All right. Next thing up on the list, I got a pop quiz for you. All right. And you don't have to really answer. I'm going to give you the answer anyway, but,
no. I want to do it.
What do we love more than a divisional underdog in the NFL? There's only one thing that I love more.
Oh, I mean, okay. Well, I have the answer on the notes.
So only one thing I love more.
All right. So you give it to them.
And that is a double-digit home divisional underdog. This is yes. Yeah, we got a rare spot this week, dude, with the 49ers versus the Cardinals. I know, just as soon as I said it, people probably will turn this off and be like, no way. But listen, there's a lot to like here. I'm going to give you guys some data, but first let's just look at the game, right? So the 49ers had their big win over the Eagles, right? On the road. Then they come back home. Maybe people expected what's that?
Emotionally charged.
Yeah, huge emotional revenge game, all that stuff. Blew them out. Never even a contest. And then they come home, and I'm sure people thought a little bit of a letdown, right? And there was a little bit of a letdown. It was a closer game than you would expect. They were laying 13 to the Seahawks. They did not cover that spread. And remember, that's all we care about. Understand that San Francisco might win this game. We only care about if they cover. So they did not cover 13 at home against the Seahawks. But the bigger thing that I can't get over when I looked at this game is that they played the Cardinals earlier in the season when Josh Dobbs was their quarterback. And the Niners were at home laying 14. So how are they laying 14 on the road now with Kyler Murray as the quarterback?
Recently benched Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs just got benched, after putting up a donut for most of the game. So, and by the way, they covered that spread, that 14-point spread against the Cardinals. They covered it, but Dobbs was with a 2-minute drill, garbage time, was driving for that cover. They end up winning by 19. They are going to win by 19, I think, but they were in the red zone. And if they score, they cover the 14. So this number just seems too high to me, and it's already starting to come down. It was 13.5. It's now 13, and I'm starting to see 12.5s pop up. For you to say it's the justified play on the 49ers, you got to convince me that the Cardinals are worse with Kyler Murray than they are with Josh Dobbs at home, coming out of their bye week. After a win over the Steelers. The Cardinals are 3-10, but they're more like a 5-8 kind of team. They're still not good, but they're not a 3-10 football team. They're not the Panthers.
Decent. They're playing decent football. Kyler Murray has obviously re-energized that offense a bit. And they're still with a first-year head coach, right? So every week they're they're installing more and more of that offense and that scheme. It would be hard for me to say that they're a worse team with Kyler Murray than Josh Dobbs.
For sure.
Do we know if the ever elusive on the stat sheet Marquise Brown is starting this week, or
I don't know.
Does it even matter? Does it even matter?
It might matter, but I don't know. But
you ruined my fantasy season.
Dude, everybody's ruined my fantasy season, so I have no shot. So, but if we just the last thing I wanted to say was about the data, because I rambled on, but the data, right? Because my opinion is whatever, but double-digit home dogs over the last 15 years, which is a pretty good sample size. They're 59-39 against the spread. That's 60.2%. So if you just look at raw numbers, and there's been 2 this year, okay? One was the Panthers. They got destroyed by the Cowboys. And the other one was the Cardinals, who beat the Cowboys. So even though it's 1-1 this year, you have one outright win, which is huge for a double-digit dog. It's like plus 700 or whatever it is. So and understand when you play dogs, you should always sprinkle the money line too. So naturally, that's just a good spot. Also, you have, Kyler Murray, when he's a dog, has performed really well in his career. Let me see. Yeah, 32 and 24 against the spread. That's not bad. I can even pull up when he's played, how he's done against the Niners. Let me see that as a dog. So I'm sure he's been a dog plenty of times to the 49ers.
Like, oh my God.
But
11 and 24.
He's 4-1 ATS as a dog against the Niners. Now, it's not all about Kyler Murray. I know the defense is not really that great on the Arizona side, but you just got to consider the spot. It's always about situational betting in the NFL. San Francisco, I would think, just wants to get in and get out with a win. We don't want any injuries in a game like this against an inferior opponent. I want to build a little bit of a cushion, and I want to get out with a win. And I would not be surprised at all if this is just like a 10-point win for the Niners, a 7-point win, where they kneel at the end of the game. They kneel it out and they're up by 8 or something like that. And that's all you need for this cover. So early lean, I don't know if we're going to play it yet, but there are some great indicators for the Cardinals plus 13 as a big home divisional dog. So
now you say you usually like sprinkling the money line.
Yeah.
When you're betting on the dog, but would you do it here on Arizona, or like would you sprinkle it?
It's at plus 580. So let's see.
I wouldn't.
Oh no, you got on BetMGM you can get a 600.
I still wouldn't.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't.
When you're talking, but the Titans just did it on Monday. They were 14-point dogs.
I know, but the Titans played a different team than the Dolphins. You know?
No, I know. No, to answer your question, I don't think they win the game. If I'm doing a unit, let's say on Arizona plus 13, then there's no way I'm doing more than like a quarter unit if I'm going to sprinkle the money line. Because a lot of the times we'll do a money line as like a half unit or even sometimes a 1 unit bet if it's a smaller spread, and I love them to win outright. But yeah, this has got to be like a quarter unit sprinkle or nothing at all. This is more of just like playing the line because the line is showing good value. Like realistically, this number should probably be 9.5 or 10. Like if we play this a bunch of times over, if we run this game 1,000 times over. But so I think 12.5 or 13 is just like a little bit too high. And that's all. That's really all you're looking for. We're not going to come on here and tell you lines are off by 10 points. It's like it doesn't exist. Yeah. We're looking for 2 to 3 point edges basically every week. So take a look at the cards.
Where would you bet this to? Where would you bet this to?
You got to have the double digits. So it's got to be 10, at least 10.5.
Okay.
If it gets to 10 or less, I would just stay away from the game. Like I wouldn't even bet the other side. I would just stay away. Yeah. Cool. To me, it's Arizona or nothing. I don't want to, sure, there's spots where maybe they just run away with the game, but you don't want to make a habit of laying double digits on the road in the NFL. It's not like the NBA. Like last night, we laid 12 with Philly in the NBA. They win by like 20 or whatever. Like that's different. There's the National Blowout Association. That doesn't happen in the NFL. So it's not a thing.
Yeah.
But cool. Yeah. So that is kind of what I'm looking at here in terms of the NFL report for this week. So Bills in a great spot, I think personally, against the Cowboys. Watch out for those totals. Take a look at some overs. Switch it up a little bit. Try to be ahead. Be ahead of the curve, and take a look at the gross home dog with the Cardinals. And now we could talk some MMA. We got a pay-per-view this week, bro. It feels like it's been a while.
Honestly, this is one of the best cards. If you're a fight fan,
this is
one of the best cards of the year. I mean, you got let me pull this up so I do it justice. Obviously, we have 2 great main events in Pantoja and Brandon Royval, and Leon Edwards and Kobe Covington. But it is stacked with both fights that you want to watch as a fight fan, and also, even if you're a filthy casual, you still want to see a few of these sideshows like Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett.
Yes.
You had Ian Gary and Vicente Luque, but that got cut because Ian Gary has pneumonia. So RIP. That's not going to happen. We're not going to see the shit talking there. But
yeah.
I do have 2 fights that I want to break down.
Awesome.
That no casual is looking forward to. If you're watching this, I'm not going to talk about Leon Edwards and Kobe Covington. I may if Jeff forces me to, but I'm most likely not. Okay? All right? You want to know why? Because you're a casual. And you need to dig in to some of these uglier fights.
Yeah.
Because that's where the value is. We're looking at I got 2 fights right now. One of them doesn't even have props yet. The books didn't even bother. It's Thursday. And the books didn't even put a prop on it yet. They're like, listen,
whatever.
Nobody gives a crap about what this fight. We're probably gonna get like we're getting 10 grand in the handle on this fight. Like I'm not doing it right now.
The guy's gonna set the props at like 4:45 on Friday before he goes home from work.
Yeah. And all the books are just gonna copy and paste it.
And he runs out.
Yeah, it's just the one dude. It's the one dude in all of Las Vegas that has to set the early prelim props. So these 2 fights I think represent really good value. One of them that we're talking about, I'm going to give you a prop on it that's not even out yet. So you're going to have to kind of look in the market and make sure that you get a good line there. But the first fight up is Tagir Ulenbekov and Cody Durden.
Oof.
So if you guys have been on the newsletter, you guys have been following us, you know that I don't like Cody Durden.
I got to scroll all the way down to find this fight. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Cody Durden, the number 15 ranked flyweight in the world, is one of the most boring fighters that I've ever watched in my entire life. Both grapplers, Tagir Ulenbekov, Cody Durden, both grapplers, both get it done in 2 very different ways. Tagir is a submission expert, choke expert, pretty good on the feet, right? But makes his money submitting people, mostly with anaconda chokes, mostly with rear naked chokes. He just got a standing choke in the last one that we hit on.
Yeah,
absolute animal. Cody Durden is a lay and pray position wrestler, and there's nothing less fun than watching Cody Durden hold down the dude that you bet on for 3 rounds. It's not going to happen this time. It's not, Jeff. Tagir Ulenbekov is better on the feet, and he's dangerous on the ground, and I think he's just an overall better grappler than the Cody Durden. So Cody Durden has one way to get this done, and that's through grappling. He's been submitted 3 times in his career, all by chokes. I think that this is as slam dunky of a prop that you can find on this card would be the Tagir Ulenbekov submission. Now, the line's not out yet, so I don't know what Vegas is going to see this as. Right. We may get something, if they're smart, we may get something in the mid plus 100s. And then that scares me a little bit because there's not a lot of value there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going for a prop. Right. I think there's better plus money bets on this card than that. But if you can get this in the plus 200s and above, like that is a good value for this, because Tagir, like, people shoot on Tagir and he gets them in this anaconda choke that is so smooth. So, and that's exactly what Cody Durden's going to do.
I see it.
What?
I see it.
What is it?
On BetUS. It's plus,
what is it?
Plus 370 on BetUS.
Value. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's on.
Justin is going to be so happy about that. Resident MMA.
So you got Durden
expert.
by KO is 1,200. By sub is 900.
Yeah.
And then,
where it should be. No value on that.
Yeah. Ulenbekov by decision is plus 150. KO is plus 1,000, and sub is plus 370. Yeah.
So I think Vegas. Yeah. I think they have a decent line on this, on the decision. I think those are the 2 ways it goes. It goes Tagir decision, where Cody's able to defend enough to not get submitted. But I ultimately think he gets it done, because Cody, he drops his head, especially when he's tired and when he's getting outstruck. He'll go for these chain wrestling takedown attempts where he's putting his head on the side, and I've seen so many times Tajir grab that and turn that into a standing choke or an anaconda choke. So I love it. Plus 370.
Plus
Like
370.
let's
Ulenbekov
sprinkle
by
that
sub.
in.
And
That'll probably be on the card.
Yeah, and one of the things like somebody might hear a plus 370 and be like, no shot. We hit Elliott by sub last week. Wasn't that high 200s, 280 or something like that?
Plus 260.
260. I mean, I remember we hit a 300. I think it was Makayev by sub. We've had Gabriel Bonfim by sub before. I remember off the top of my head. Like, we've hit a lot of big plus. And the reason why sometimes you can snipe value on these, if you see a matchup like the one you're describing right now, is because props are not efficient markets. For anyone watching, I don't know if you know this, like spreads and totals and money lines are incredibly efficient markets, which is why when I was talking about earlier, I'm like, we're looking for 1 to 2 point edges. Like they're set very tight. And that's because they move the line. Like, well, it's a whole nother, we won't get into it. It'll be too long of a discussion, but maybe one day we'll talk about how they set the lines. But props, they just throw them out. And that's why you see them swing so wildly, right? Like DraftKings versus FanDuel versus BetMGM, like you'll have plus 200 here, but plus 380 here and plus 4. The reason why is because it's just only dependent on the handle that book takes, and they move them immediately because the reason why they move them so quick is because they know they don't have a huge edge on them. So they're just like protect themselves. So you can snipe lines like this based on the matchup, and it kind of sounds like that's what we have here, right? We have a kind of like a matchup edge here.
I'm feeling really, really good about it. I mean,
awesome.
The same reason that, similar reasons that we bet, Elliott last week on that sub prop was just like, this guy only has, really one avenue to win this fight. And that really plays right into, the game plan of the person that we're picking. So Tajir Muniz, we saw the same thing with Park. It's like he has two ways to go. He dashes in and boxes and he gets taken down, or he stays on the outside and he gets punched in the face by the longer guy. And we saw that happen exactly. One of the judges didn't see it exactly.
I know, right?
I have no idea what a split decision was. Holy,
it's crazy.
I was going to be, the truck was in because nobody wants to watch Andre Muniz. But yeah, man. So I'm taking the prop here. Plus 370 is, I think, awesome value. I think if it doesn't happen, it'll go to decision, which you can also look at that as well. Okay. But I think he gets it done inside the distance here.
Dope. So Tajir Ulenbekov by sub over the boring Cody Durden. It's not gonna sleep on him this time. Sweet.
I hope Cody Durden's not watching. He's still a dangerous dude.
Hopefully
in real life. Like, I wouldn't want to say that to him in a bar, but I'll say it on the podcast.
On the pod. We're at home. It's okay. We're safe.
Yeah. He doesn't know my address.
All right, cool. All right. So I know your next fight is not another one that's not exactly super sexy, but hey, look what we just did.
What are you talking about? You're saying Martin Budai is not sexy? You're saying he's not a sexy dude?
Maybe to some people.
6'4", 265.
Big boy.
Fun fact about Martin Budai: he was obese and he was just a video gamer, and he got into MMA to lose weight. Yeah.
So you're telling me I have a shot?
You too could be the number 15 ranked heavyweight in the UFC.
Well, that's actually crazy. Is that really what he was doing?
Yeah. Wow. He started MMA pretty late to lose weight, and then he started kicking.
Good for him.
Ass.
Now look at him now. Sheesh.
I mean, listen, they say that the lighter weight classes are the higher skilled weight classes, mostly because there's more people in competition in them. You don't find many 6'4", 265-pound people in the world. Like, they're just not like abundant. That's why you get these goofy dudes in the NBA. Maybe not so much anymore because it's more small ball. Yeah. But 10 years ago, a 7-foot doofy dude, he can make it.
Yeah,
you can't teach 7 feet. Just like you can't teach 6'4", 265-pound guy that likes a fight. You gotta find those. But this is not about Martin Budai.
Oh boy,
this is about Shamil Gatsiev.
All right,
and I'm probably butchering that, but we're going with him, and let me tell you why. So Shamil, super powerful, pretty good wrestling. I've seen this guy knock guys out with like straight up, like not turning into punches, just throwing stuff out there and knocking guys out. Undefeated, coming over, won his Contender Series match. The thing about Martin Budai, he's won fights in the UFC, but he's fought what I call the holy trash trinity of the heavyweight division. At least 2 out of the 3. So the holy trash trinity of the heavyweight division, Jake Collier, Josh Parisian, and Chase Sherman. These guys are your entryways into the heavyweight division. This is like up and comer. Well, you're fighting one of these 3 guys. And if you can't beat those guys, then you can't be in the division.
Gotcha.
And he's beat Jake Collier and Josh Parisian. Both guys I won't say it to him in a bar, but they're not very good relative to their competition in the UFC. He's beat both of them, but I think that Shamil has the power and the speed advantage over him, and I actually think he may have the wrestling over him. So the one thing about Shamil, when we were breaking down the tape, he doesn't move his head a ton, but I also don't know if Martin Budai has the relative power to put him out. Like every heavyweight has a ton of power because they're so goddamn big. But I haven't seen Martin Budai really put it together on somebody like that. So I think Shamil can get this done in a number of different ways. I think he can wrestle him, finish him on the floor. I think he can knock him out. I'm really feeling confident that this debut by Shamil, we're going to see that he's probably in that 10 to 12 range in the division, based on his athletics, based on, his speed and power. So I would go Shamil. I think he's plus 120 right now.
Yeah, he's like plus 120. I was going to say, I mean, it's making his UFC debut and the line's not enormous. So obviously they see that he's got a real shot in this. So it kind of makes sense. And I was going to make a joke when you started, but I'll leave it to the end. Was that like I'm on the website and he doesn't even have a picture. So it's just it's like Martin Budai versus a silhouette. So and the funny part is that it has him listed 6'4", 259, but the silhouette looks like it's like a straw weight. It's like the silhouette is like Tony Ferguson, but it's a huge dude. So plus 120, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has a reach advantage by like an inch. They're the same height in real life, not in the silhouette. So unless he gets caught with something early, I think he's going to take over this fight. A lot of people, I've seen some people talk about Shamil as like a contender in the heavyweight division for the title. I don't believe that. I don't believe that watching his fights. He doesn't move his head enough. He's going to get destroyed by one of these big punchers. But I think he gets it done over Budai.
Beautiful. All right, Shamil Gusev, another dog, plus 120. And then I know
dog all the time.
I know that was all you had, but I gotta ask you. Yeah, look at your face. I gotta ask you your opinion on this. Is a big fight, Covington Edwards. I gotta ask you your opinion on the fight. We may not have, and the subs know this. Whoever's watching, like we don't always have a pick on the main event, but gotta give us give us a little insight. Yeah,
I mean, main events,
and for people who don't get it, there's legit reasons for not wanting to bet a main event. It is the most heavily bet fight of the night, the biggest handles, the most eyes on it. Sometimes that can present an edge, but sometimes it's just like it's better to stay away and just enjoy the rest of the card and then just watch that one for fun.
They're usually people bet the line so tight that there's really not an edge on these main events, and we usually go totals on these.
Yeah.
But even if you look at the total, it's over 4.5 and it's minus 195. So there's basically no value unless you think there's a finish in this fight. And
if you had to pick someone to just win the fight, give me your lean, forgetting about value and all that stuff. Just give me who you think is going to win the fight. You're having a beer with someone and you're like, who's winning this?
I mean, listen, if I'm talking stylistically here, I think Kobe can win it. And I don't like him personally, but this is betting. I think he has enough volume. I think he can do the things that Kamaru did in the first fight. I think Kamaru lost a lot of his athleticism with his knees that caused him to not be explosive anymore when he in his wrestling. But in that first fight, he was able to basically control, Leon the entire time. I think Kobe has the gas tank. I think he has a wrestling ability to smother him, sort of in the same way that he did Masvidal. I think Leon is very skilled striking. And he showed much better takedown defense in the last fight. But Kobe is a live dog in this one. Like, if he can present that constant pressure, stay in Leon's face, not get back down, and chain those strikes into that wrestling, he can win. It's going to suck to watch. If Kobe's winning, this is not going to be a fun main event for anybody.
Right.
Right. He's going to have one hook in. I'm painting the picture for you guys. It's Leon Edwards on one knee against the cage. Kobe Covington has one hook in, and he's on his back, and he's like smacking him in the face.
Yeah.
And that's going to go on for basically 5 rounds if Kobe's winning. And it's going to be lamest fight.
He's going to compile those points and win by decision. Yeah.
It's going to be Leon looking up at the clock like, when am I going to get to the next round so I can start striking again?
Right.
So that's the fight flow of Kobe's winning. I think he's a live dog.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if we're going to have a bet on him, but I think he's alive.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that should be fun. It's a fun card. So hopefully we give you guys another 2-0 like last week with these two today, and hopefully do well in the football. So that was all I got, man. You ready to wrap this thing up?
I am. Do you want you want to skip some pocket? Let's skip a week of pocket change.
Oh, you know what? Let's skip it. I didn't even get a chance to look. Let's skip the pocket change.
But let's skip it. We haven't been doing so hot.
We hit one and then that was it. But if I see something I like, I'll throw it up on TikTok or something follow us there. But finally, I got to mention that the merch, you can buy merch now on the website. All right. Go ahead, lockandcash.com. You can buy merch now. Yep. Look at that. Beautiful. Everything's pretty minimal, clean, so you don't look like a degenerate in front of your family and stuff. And, it's like, a very, very, very low key stuff.
If you want one though, let me know. Yeah. I could do an all over print Speedo or something. We can, if you really
just dollar signs everywhere.
Want to flex your win. Yeah, let's go.
A shirt with the chain graphic on it.
I'll get a fake chain. Let's put a fake chain up.
Put a chain on the website. Yeah.
Some of these other guys.
Someone's gonna buy.
I mean, some of these other cappers.
Yeah, I know, right? Lamborghinis and gold chains.
Yeah.
Versus what it really is. What it really is like staring at the screens till your eyes bleed out, trying to find value. So
2 dudes not sleeping, watching UFC fights and fucking looking at
that's right.
Looking at lines.
Dope. All right. Okay. So we'll wrap this up until next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. Good luck with all the bets. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube too. I forget to say that every week. Subscribe on the YouTube. We're slowly growing. And we'll be back at it next week. All right.
Yeah. And then I guess my sign off message, keep your head up when you're taking somebody down, and don't get anaconda choked this weekend.
Dope. I love it.
Unless you're Cody Durden. Don't listen.
Then you
do the opposite.
Ignore what we just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, brother. All right. Peace out. Next week. See ya.
Later.